Yeah, and we came up here from Pennsylvania, so.
Well, welcome.
Again, first we march, then we run, and then we vote, and then we win. So that's what I did. I marched, I ran for office, people voted for me, I'm an elected official, and that's what we gotta do.
Yep, and I'm with her.
Going because we're almost there, I'm telling you. So I'm sending all of my love to all of you, and let's just get out there and vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria-Elena, and thank you to Karu and to Free at Last and Carol. What'd you think about the drumming and the singing? Yeah. Thanks to everybody for being here. I know these are challenging times, and this is our first rally in COVID, so things are a little bit unusual, and yet we're here and we're adapting. I want to talk a little bit about collective violence toward women, because I feel that it has increased so significantly under this administration that this is the most important election of our collective lives. We have some old issues, like women continuing to work as hard as men for less money, particularly women of color who are hit the hardest. But, you know, we have a whole bunch of new issues that have come up under this administration. So they're attempting to shut down healthcare clinics across the country. These are important to women. These clinics administer emergency medical care, including treatment to prevent HIV and unintended pregnancies and counseling. And that's what they want to shut down. They disbanded the White House Council on Women and Girls in 2017. And what that really means is that there's zero consideration given to women and girls when new policy is made. And that's actually a really big deal. And as a little reminder to one of our big marches, do you remember when the White House made the CDC ban these words, fetus evidence-based, transgender, diversity. They continue to remove these words out of the budget every year. You know, these are the new F words, is I think how I phrased it back then. The Department of Health and Human Services deleted lesbian and bisexual women's resources from its women's health website. They also removed mention of contraception, abortion, and sex education from all of their documents. The thing is, they think they're really smart. They take a handful of women and they put them in positions of power in an effort to subjugate 100% of the women. Shame on them. They found a female Supreme Court justice candidate to take Ruth Bader Ginsburg's seat, but she is no RBG. Their judge thinks that women should be subservient to men. RBG was her own woman. The list of what they've done quietly over the 4 years is horrifying, and it's just too long. It's too long to pull out and talk about. But what they don't understand is that our eyes are wide open, and we found our voices, and all of us together, we're aware that we have a fundamental human rights problem in our country with far-reaching consequences for families and for society, directly affecting women. And we are speaking up and we are speaking out. And I know darn well everybody here will vote or did vote. If you didn't vote, take a friend or two. So thank you all for being here, and are we gonna have a little more drumming?
So last night I tried to organize my thoughts for hours, and like probably a lot of you, I took 2 hours out of my night to weep and watch Pete Souza's documentary on Barack Obama and the 8 years that they spent together in the White House, while Pete Souza, the White House photographer, documented all of these special moments that, if you look back on it, I'm choking up right now. Thinking about it is just pretty much the polar opposite of what's been going on for the past 4 years. So I could not get organized. Where do I start? Maria-Elena mentioned that I am a lifelong public servant, and my first interaction in a government role was an intern with the Domestic Violence Bureau in the Brooklyn DA's office, where the first trial I observed was the murder of a girlfriend by the boyfriend who was convicted later on. And obviously this was not easy as a 20-year-old. And that same summer, I worked with one of my good friends to start organizing for the election of Barack Obama. So this was 12 years ago. Do I start there? Do I start with our Me Too movement, which feels like a distant memory at this point, but it was so active right here in the Hudson Valley and led to the resignation of 2 of our elected officials who were kind of heralded as progressive champions? Do I start with the terrible effects of COVID-19 on people experiencing domestic violence that can't now leave their homes and have to make these impossible decisions? Do I start with this president and his enablers and all they've done to diminish the rights of women? And we just witnessed that all week with the nomination hearings of Amy Coney Barrett. I just did not know where to start. And I didn't know if I highlight Vanessa Guillen, who was a young Army cadet in Texas who was bludgeoned to death by in intimate partner violence. I think a lot of times, a lot of focus gets put on Breonna Taylor, which is well deserved, but we can't forget about the countless other women, and especially women of color, who are victims of domestic violence. So I have all these strands, and I don't know how to organize them. And that's what abusers do. They confuse, they trigger, they throw it all at you, so you can't get organized and say what you need to say. So I thought that in my new role as Vice Chair of Communications for the Ulster County Democrats, I would try and stay on message. There's a lot of people here that are far more educated than I am on these types of issues, but I want to leave you with this. We have only 17 days left to organize and vote, as people mentioned, but we also need to volunteer. I have an important story from around this time 4 years ago. It was right after the Access Hollywood tape, if you guys remember that, because that was something that happened. And I think, again, we can't even focus on the fact that our president admitted on tape, on video, that he commits sexual assault regularly. We've just forgotten about that. But in the wake of that, the Hillary Clinton campaign released a batch of tickets to people who wanted to go to her victory party. And I remember thinking, I want to tell my future daughter that I was there when the first woman president got elected. And a president who declared back in 1995 that women's rights are human rights. And we went to pick up our tickets, and there was a volunteer there that said, do you want to get on a bus to Pennsylvania and canvass? And I thought about it for a second, and I figured, she has this in the bag. How could we possibly elect an admitted abuser? And we decided not to go. And to this day, that's one of my biggest regrets, not getting on that bus, not going to Pennsylvania, and not spending those critical weekends in a nearby state that really swung the course that our nation would take. So I'm asking you all today to not only vote, you're all going to vote. You are here, you're here at a rally for violence against women, but I need you all to commit to volunteering and bringing people with you in your network to vote, because we need volunteers. COVID has really made it complicated, and we have these amazing women candidates right here in Ulster County. One of them is sitting right there, Michelle Hinchey. She's going to be our next senator for the 46th district. We have Jen Metzger to the south, who's already done amazing work for women by codifying Roe v. Wade here in New York State. We have Karen Smythe across the river, who decided to run for office because she was so incensed by the Hobby Lobby decision. And we have Betsy Kratt, who's running for assembly, who was one of the women who came out against legislator Joel Tyner, who was an admitted abuser. And because she came out, 10 women came out with her. So we have these amazing women right here at home. And at the top of the ballot, we have Kamala Harris, who I know from Progressive, she gets a lot of flack for being a prosecutor. And I am right there on the front lines of reforming our broken criminal justice system. But remember that prosecutors are the ones that often take on the mantle of protecting women who are the victims of domestic violence. That was my first interaction with government back in 2007, and I still carry that with me today. So if you guys haven't committed to a volunteership, there's sign-ups over there. You can come see me. There's a lot of opportunities because we need to get every single vote, especially for our Hudson Valley women, when their gerrymandered districts may well come down to a counting of absentee ballots. So thank you, Maria-Elena and Anula, for organizing this, and the entire Woodstock Democratic Committee. And thank you to the colony that's always been the cornerstone of this community. Thanks so much.
Walking proudly, keep on walking proudly, keep on walking proudly, never turning back, never turning back. We're gonna keep on singing loudly, keep on singing loudly, keep on singing loudly, never turning back, never turning back. We're gonna keep on loving boldly, keep on loving boldly. We're gonna keep on loving boldly, never turning back, never turning back. We're gonna work for change together, work for change together. We're gonna work for change together, never turning back, never turning back. We're gonna keep on walking forward, keep on walking walking forward. Keep on walking forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. Thank you.
Everybody. My name's Peter Humphries. I was lucky enough to be able to speak at the first Women's March in Woodstock. I am so honored that Anula and Maria let me speak at this. I'm only allowed 2 minutes though this time, because anybody who knows when I do public speaking, not like Saja, I am not afraid of this. But what I want to say is, really quick, is I was born and raised in this town. I've loved this area. I love what we have here. And I want to keep what we have here. One of the things I did last year was, instead of yelling at the TV or like Anula throwing broccoli at the TV, I decided to run. We turned Hurley blue for the first time since basically the Civil War. Two weeks ago, I passed a resolution for our town that it's now Indigenous Peoples Day and no longer Columbus Day. What I want to say is, to me, it's time we let women run this world. There's a reason it's called Mother Earth. And I support and have fought forever about this. And there is someone who I'm introducing here today that, as someone who grew up here, I grew up with her dad also. And I watched this woman, I hate to tell you, I'm old, since she was this big. And when you'd see her at the events, she wasn't just running around and everything. She was actually watching and paying attention at an early age. I've actually watched her grow, and I've wanted and pushed to try to get her to do what she is doing and stepping in. And I recommend any woman, especially out there, that wants to do this should get involved. I tell you what, it's a lot more fun doing what I did a couple weeks ago than yelling at the TV. And it's possible. And you've got a lot of people, and there's a lot of men in this world that feel the same way I do and aren't afraid. So I think my 2 minutes is running out, so as much as I want to keep going, I will stop. Michelle Hinchey is a chip off the block as far as her dad. And anybody who knows what her dad did to protect our land, she's the ticket for us. So I hope everybody will support her. I know you will. And here she is.
It is awesome to be back here today, although we were not here that long ago in January fighting for and talking about and yelling about the same things. But this is what makes change, is us gathering together regularly, not letting up the momentum, and showing that we really do believe in what we're fighting for, and we really do believe in what we're saying, and it's worth taking the time out of our days to continue to push this message forward. I was just reminded while Peter was speaking that one of the first events that I remember as a very small child was going to an event with my parents, my mom and my dad, and Gloria Steinem, fighting for and talking about the right to choose and how important that was. And I remember walking down what now can really only be described as a gauntlet of people on both sides of that issue yelling at each other. And starting to understand, I think I was 6, starting to understand at that point that these things are so important to fight for. And that no matter what you're met with, and the type of anger or vitriol or confusion or just not knowing, on the other side that we still have to stand up and we still have to push for it, because through those events and through those people speaking up and standing together, we've come such a far way. And listening to Saja's remarks earlier, we're in a really exhausting time. We are facing what feels like an onslaught from every which way, especially for women's rights and women's health care and our value in the world. And it's okay to feel exhausted. It's okay to feel like you don't know where to turn because it's coming at you from every direction. But in these moments, that's when the best change comes, because we forget correctness and we forget, our place, and we forget that other people are supposed to do these things and we do it. And sure. Thank you. We do it. We stand up in those moments to make sure that our voices are heard, because we're not waiting for anyone else to push it forward. And one of those voices, I see these wonderful signs here for RBG, which is what brought us here together in the first place today. If we can, I don't know if we did this already, but I would like to just take a really quick moment of silence for RBG and in the concept of everything that we are facing today and in her absence. Thank you. Because of her absence, we are facing something now in this country that I think many of us thought we weren't going to face for a long time. And when the federal government and when our rights are at risk at the federal level, it has never been more important to fight and remember our state level, and to remember that we can start to insulate ourselves and protect people here when things are not going well at the federal level. And that's why I'm running for state office and for state senate, because we have to make sure that the rights that we won not that long ago by codifying Roe v. Wade at the state level and for the Reproductive Health Act are protected. Just this week, our opponent refused to say that he supported the Reproductive Health Act. Just this week, our opponent refused to say that he would support Roe v. Wade in New York State. And just this week, our opponent made it clear that he does not support women's rights, not only a woman's rights to choose, but a woman's health care and the decisions between her family, herself, and her doctors. We cannot have that here in New York. We do not want that representation for us in this community. I know I don't. As a young woman with many friends in this community, many allies in this community, I know that's not what we want here. And in a state senate for New York, that out of 63 senators, only 19 of them are women, we cannot afford to have more people who are looking to roll us back and push us backwards. We need to be looking to the future for our communities, from our kids, all of the wonderful kids that we have here. Where is that beautiful girl with her RBG dress? There she is. Can I give a round of applause to you? Because that's what we're fighting for. That's what we're here today to push and to represent and to stand up for. And somehow, unfortunately, in 2020, that's on the line. And so it has never been more important not just to vote and to volunteer and to make a voting plan and to make your friends' voting plans, but to get involved and to remember down ballot races, because as Saja spoke about and many have before, these are the things that we need to look out for to make sure that we are protecting New York for people like her and for the rest of our kids. So thank you all so much for being out here today, for lending your voice again to the cause, and for knowing just how fundamentally important it is that we keep this fight forward, regardless of how exhausting it feels. Because we know there is a light at the end of the tunnel, hopefully in 17 days. We will all put the work in now and fight through that exhaustion and the grief and the sorrow and the confusion, so that we can celebrate and look forward and be happy and be prosperous and be excited about the future that we put together and that we fought to create. So thank you for being here and for being part of that change and for being part of that movement. We couldn't do it without all of you. Bring 3 friends, get involved, and we will be celebrating sometime in mid-November when we count all the ballots. Thank you.
Gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking.
Stop now.
I'm just saying, I can't even kiss him. I got a boat mask.
I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up the freedom land. Ain't gonna let no proud boys turn me around. Oh no, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let no proud boys turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up the freedom land. Ain't gonna let injustice turn me around. Oh no, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let injustice turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up the freedom land. Thank you, Alex. I hear you. Ain't gonna let no incels turn me around. Oh no, turn me around. No, turn me around. Ain't gonna let no incels turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up the freedom land. Billy Thompson, Master Shaker is there. Ain't gonna let patriarchy turn me around. One love, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let patriarchy turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up the freedom land. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom. This is your last chance. We're gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, voting up to freedom. Good. Thank you all so much. Vote. Don't forget to vote.
Are you the proud mom?
I sure am.
Great.
Oh, that's